Hi guys, so this is quickly, I'm just going to go over my very simple S&P 500 futures trading strategy. So everything just switched over, or at least I am just switching over from September contracts to December contracts. So I don't have all of my alerts set up yet. I have one at 40.87. I'm looking to short, so I'm not going to do anything until we hit that point. But quickly, I can go over all of the indicators that I use and how I use it using the 5-minute time frame. So typically when trading the ES, at least on OneUp, because we are unable to swing, I will use the 5-minute and then the 1-minute time frames. So as of right now, as you can see, it is 12:20. Not too much action going on. Typically in the mornings, I like to trade usually around a nice early morning, typically anywhere between 6:30 to 11, and then I'll usually peak out, as you can see here, around 10 o'clock. 9-10 o'clock is when it really gets hot. 11 o'clock you'd see things start to die down, and here we are now, around 12. So not too much going on right about now, so not too worried. Nothing really to look for here. There are plenty of people that trade around this time. Me personally, I don't really see the point in doing so. I like to trade typically nice and early in the morning. Also helps you, for me, it helps keep me dialed, right? A lot of distractions around this time of the day. So usually nice and early in the morning. So for instance, just going over all of my indicators. 1, I use the MACD on 12, 26, and 9. I use the momentum and TTM squeeze indicator, kind of overlapping each other here. I like to look at momentum crossings. Just one of the things that I use. I use the money flow index, and I have that set on 80 and 25. I like to use these on a short time frame. I will go over that. This one is actually called RSI. I use the standard RSI. I believe it's standard on 70, and then 30. And then the MACD, I use another MACD here. I use the 6, 12, and 1. This type of MACD here I use to spot divergence. Not quite the same as the standard MACD, but this one used mainly for spotting divergence. So when we go over here onto the chart, let's go ahead and expand this a little bit. I know it's a pretty gnarly mess, but as long as you know what you're doing, what you're looking at, then you're all good. So I use the basic Bollinger Bands. Right here I've got a custom Hall indicator that I coded myself. This just moves and turns green and red as volume changes. I enjoy that one very much. I use the 400 EMA, which is this blue line here. This is the lower of my Bollinger. I've got an alert here. That is my next short target, which would be 40.87. I do not think we're going to see too much more. There is a lot of stuff this week, so I don't plan on being too bullish. For instance, this morning I was watching the 40.87 mark to go long. I ended up opting not to do so. Big mistake on my part, but it's okay. As you can see here, we pump through that 40.87 and we just kind of make a nice little high at 41.37. So along with those, I use the 200 EMA, 200 SMA, 50 EMA. Of course I use the VWAP, 15 SMA, and then the 15 EMA. Alright, so a very simple strategy that I like to use and that I like to employ. One, I use basic resistance, support and resistance, especially when trading the ES on the 5-minute time frame, is gold. I'm not going to go over how to do all of that. There's plenty of people on the internet that will explain it much better than I would. But getting your support and resistance down, knowing where things will break down and things will start to pop and run, that is very important. So having those in combined with all these other nasty indicators I use. I also forgot to mention that I still use Thinkorswim. I don't like NinjaTrader's charts, sorry. Every trade is executed on NinjaTrader. However, I just prefer simply to use Thinkorswim just because I've used it for so long. I'm comfortable there. Yes, the data is a little bit delayed by a few seconds. Doesn't make a huge difference to me, especially I have NinjaTrader open on another screen. I don't right now because I'm not trading. But when I am trading, I usually have Thinkorswim on one screen and then NinjaTrader on the other, where all my orders and my Superdome and all that stuff is. But alas. So one very simple trick that I like to use is I like to watch for the money flow and RSI. So whenever these become overbought, right? For instance here, as you could see, the money flow index becomes overbought on the ES. We are above our 4886 mark, and right around here we're peaking out, right? We're above 4110. That being a pretty good resistance level, at least a micro resistance level for the ES. This would be an indication for me, and this would be like a, okay, get ready to buy, right? So I would see things become overbought on the money flow index, and typically on a short scale, short time frame chart like this, 5 minutes, whenever things become overbought on the money flow index or the RSI, it usually runs a little bit. You just have to be on top of it. So, for instance, and you can combine it with other things. So you have the 15 EMA crossing the 50 SMA. That's one indication. You have your money flow here becoming overbought. That's another indication. So that right there, those two, as well as it being above, hovering right around 4110, would be enough. That's 3 indications. That's enough for me to just be like, okay, it's time to enter a position. So I would be on the watch here, and I would probably buy right around here, right? I would buy on this hammer candle. So it hammers down, touches the 15 SMA, and doesn't break through. So I would probably buy right around here. And then I would of course set my stop, probably right around 4100, nice 10-point stop. You know, if you lose $500, you lose $500, right? If you're buying one contract. Not that bad. I feel like that's not a huge risk. So buying around here, and as you could see, momentum starts to shift, momentum starts to rise. You can see on the MACD down here, things are rising. You've got a good separation, momentum's going up on the TTM squeeze, and then here, right around here, you could see the RSI becomes overbought as well. So that's another signal. So when the RSI becomes overbought, I'll see that as another indication that I'm cool to hold through, and I would just hold through this. This would be a 20-minute trade right here, and you'd be able to bag about 20 points, give or take, if you get out at the red candle. And I typically shoot for 20 points, anywhere from 10 to 20 points. I use 10-point stops, which I will cut if it's around 5 points and it's something where I'm not feeling too confident. But to simply go over it, I was looking for the cross, the golden cross on the 15 EMA and 50 SMA, the overbought on the money flow, and then the 4110 resistance break. So those 3 would be enough for me to get in. And then once I'm in, I'm watching, I'm making sure momentum's looking good, I'm making sure the MACD continues to climb, I'm checking out volume, making sure our volume is okay. And as we climb, once we get the RSI overbought, I know that things are going to continue to run at least a little bit. So once we get there, for about 20 to 30 minutes, and then I would probably sell here. And then that right there would be a nice example of how I typically trade. And we could go back here, and we could find another one. For instance, right here. So we're going to do this again, right? So, right here, you see things are kind of choppy, nothing great, right? And then boom, we see it start to move over the 15 EMA. Things move over the 15 EMA, and we've got some volume coming in right at 9:30. So this is around prime time. So volume's moving in. This is good right here. You can see volume spike. We've got a cross over the 400 EMA, which is beautiful. And right around here, you could see the money flow becomes overbought. The RSI becomes overbought. So this would be a good time to buy right around here once it becomes a little bit overbought. And as you can see, we move up. So you buy around here, and you could easily get yourself around 10 to 15 points. And then once it dies out here, no longer overbought, we see things start to die out a little bit. And we're out of there. So that would be a nice 15-minute trade using the overbought MFI, Money Flow Index, and RSI, Relative Strength Index strategy. And over here we also have our golden cross, the 15 EMA crossing the 50 SMA. So this would be a good one right around here. that would just be like a good indication that we're good, because right around here, it wouldn't be a good point to buy. You could probably still get yourself a few points here, and if you hold through, you could get yourself even more. If you're really confident, you would see a little bit of lossage there. But that is just another example of how I trade, using the money flow index and the RSI, as well as all of my EMA and SMA lines. So hopefully that helps you guys out a little bit. That is how I pass my eval, doing small trades on the 5-minute chart, just like this. As you can see here, if you bought once we started to become oversold on the money flow index, say you buy at 39.10, you'd be able to get out again around 39.29, probably around here 39.25. Again, I usually shoot for anywhere between 10 to 20 points, usually on 1 to 2 contracts. So say you just get 10 points there, 2 contracts, it's $1,000. You know, you're about 10% through with your eval, just like that, in about 15 minutes. So hopefully this helps everybody.